then. Alrighty then. And we should be live any second now. Yes, we are. Alrighty then. Oh, I should probably write something, shouldn't I? How's everybody doing? And when I say everybody, I mean Martin. Say something. Hi, everyone. Getting a bit of noise from my mic, but that's because I'm moving around, which I'm trying not to do. If there's anyone there, please drop me a little comment. Let me know you're there and what is going on. And in this week's live stream, we are going to be looking at some more sort of motif interval-based playing, you might say. So you probably remember from before, we looked at this minor third interval in the key of A, which is, and we sort of tried to find it as many places on the neck as we could. Okay. And then I believe we took the G and we tried to find that as many places as we can. Okay, so we tried to find E to G and G to E. And then we tried to mix those intervals together. So what we're going to look at this week, we're going to add to that, and this is the reason that we're doing this is because there's nothing wrong with a little bit of, you know, nothing wrong with a little bit of using the scale like a scale, but if you do that all the time, it starts to sound a little bit scaly, and you don't want that. So by using these ideas, not only does it help you sort of break out of the box, as I've said before, and nothing wrong with the box, but it helps you to be able to get into other areas of the neck, because wherever you play there's a slightly different sound. Like there, you can play that minor third interval there, C to A, and then you can use that G, or so you've got a, this is one of my favourites, Gary Moore, where you're basically going using that interval but in a different place, and instead of doing this you use your bending. And I really like that way of using those different ideas. And like as I always say, eventually you just play. So what we're going to do this week is we're going to add some different intervals into the mix here. One of my favourites, especially for blues and kind of blues rock thing, is this interval of a fourth, where in this particular key we're going from E to A. Now that is a fourth interval. That is not important, especially in the blues rock thing. It doesn't really matter if you know that it is, but it is a fourth interval. Okay, you're going there. Hopefully if I go 1, 2, 3, 4, yes, I'm right. Now this particular fourth interval, or these two notes in this case being E to A, the other cool thing is we just pretty much treat it as we did the other things. We try and find it in as many places as we can. And it's got a really kind of statement-like sound. It's hard to explain. One way you would use this, you would go, say, 5 on the B, 5 on the high E, and then slide up to that same note, but on the 10th fret B string. And then you might finish that off with a blues bend on the C note, which is on the 8th fret high E. So you got, And now because you're here, you might do the same similar thing. So that was just A, E, going from 10 on the B to 9 on the G. And then finishing off again with that 8 on the high E to 10 on the B. So now we've got this kind of... And if we use that idea again, we can now move up to this C. So we've already got a nice moving... All right, and obviously we got it here, so we could go, or we could go. So we're just basically, instead of playing in the regular place, okay. And the interesting thing is when we get up here, okay, we can do a little string skip. So we're going here, instead of going just across 2 strings like we are here, we've now got, which I really like, so as many places as you can get that, okay, and reverse it, like say for example, we've got here, and there's lots of licks. I'm a big fan of writing down licks. Hey, Bayvab, how are you doing? Thank you for making a comment on my video. Glad you liked it. It's quite an old tune, but I thought I'd start sticking them on YouTube now. So thank you, sir. For those of you who don't know Bayvab, great guitar player, good friend of mine. So you can start to see now where you can take this fairly regular kind of blues idea and then start to make some music out of it. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to play along and I'm going to try and use everything we talked about last time and then try and make some licks up. And where are these, just to give you one example of this. I'll take a regular lick like this and then I'll just mix up the timing. And that's just really still using that same idea. E, A, the minor third thing. Right? It's such a strong statement, that. Okay, let's have a little play. And let me know what you think, guys. I want you to get involved in the comments. Let me know what your ideas are on improving what I'm doing or any additional things that you've learned from using these ideas on how we can kind of help each other to improve. So I'm going to use my regular rock track. Now, also, by the way, if you go to guitarstarclothing.com, which is my kind of clothing and guitar site, you can get this backing track, right? You just have to sign up for the newsletter and then we will send you this track. So guitarstarclothing.com, and just go on and just, hey, Martin Howes is there. Chaudhry, I even loved Miracle and your cage lesson. So I've got 4 more of those coming. And I just, before I play this, I would really like to get your comments on this, because what I find, and I'm not one of these people that does lessons like, hey man, I've got this lesson and nobody's talking about this. Like, there's 7 billion people in the world. How the heck do you know nobody's talking about it? Maybe they just don't want to go on YouTube. Maybe there's zillions of people talking about it. So I don't say that, but one thing I find kind of odd about the cage system thing is people sort of explain what it is, but then they don't really tell you what you can do with it. You know, it's like, okay, so, you know, I know it's a washing machine. How can I wash this and that, and how can I do it? And they go, oh, no, we're not going to tell you any of that. So in my cage lessons, the first one's now up on my YouTube channel if you care to check it out. And I'm starting with the C shape. And what I'm trying to do is show you that the cage system, what it's good for, right? and what it maybe isn't good for. And that's the same with the thing is, you know, if you pick up a hammer, you're not going to use that to water a plant, are you? And if you pick up a watering can, you're not going to use that to screw a screw into the wall. Everything is there to serve a different reason and a different purpose. And also, as I always say, you have to be CEO of your own guitar learning company. So you have to just learn these things and see if it's right for you. And that's really the end of it. But anyway, I'm glad you like that, and more coming very soon. I actually edited the second one today. So let's use some of these ideas here. Let me have a quick drink of water. But yeah. Aye, aye, aye. So here we go. So there we have hopefully some good examples David says your one is application-based supported by evidence. Yes. Okay, so that fourth interval for me is an absolute winner. I love that one. So, the second one that I would start to look at, which I also really like, is what I would call a major third interval, right? Which is basically going C, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, major third. I hope I said major third interval. Okay, so if you're doing it on one string, if you don't include the fret you're on, 1, 2, 3, 4, if you include the fret you're on, 5. That used to really confuse me, so I always do it both ways. So I always think if it's 4, you don't include the fret you're on, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so what I love about this is some really cool ways that you can use this. So let's do a bending one first. If you hear that kind of Hendrix type thing, and when I say type thing, I mean it really is, honestly is. What you're doing there is going, you're doing that interval, right? But basically what you're doing is you're bending up to the E from the D. So you're bending from 7 to 9 on the G string, cutting it off with the palm of your right hand, and then doing that there. So now if we add that to what we just did, now that's a cool lick. And you can finish off with a little kind of blues flurry. Oops, excuse me. Okay. So you can take that lick and try and find that pretty much anywhere you can. Okay. Now the other use for this interval, whichever way you care to look at it, is from a sliding point of view, which I personally use a lot. So if I start on the C, I'll slide to the E, and then maybe I'll use that one. Or maybe I'll slide up and back. Now I'm using all three. And now we're getting some tasty little licks going. Okay, another way, and again, you need to find those, all the C's. It's a really cool way. And also, just before I forget, this here is a great way to kind of, I use this to kick off my kind of rapid fire blues licks. I normally go to the A to the E, hammer on from nowhere, pull off. So in other words, you could be bending this G to an A. And the same up here. Sorry, that was a bit messy, but you get the point. Okay, so we've got the sliding thing. We've got the rapid fire thing. Excuse me. The bending thing. You can start to see just one other I want to do. I'm pretty sure I learned this from Joe Bonamassa. Is just to play that note there, and I normally stick a D in between. And believe it or not, there's some really cool things that you can do with this idea. And there is a name for it in theory, but I honestly can't think of what it is. But when you have a very strong relationship between two notes or two chords, for example, here there's a strong relationship. They will quite often put some stuff in the middle. And you'll see this in jazz standards as well, where, say, for example, you might have I haven't got a clean sound here, but you might have a D7 to a G7 to a C major 7, which is a 2-5-1. But what you might see them do is they might do that, take, right? Now that was just completely random there. I went D minor 7, B flat major 7, A flat 7, right? So the thing. So, but basically what they've done is this is the thing. But what they've just done is the composer's just gone, okay, I'm going to just muck around here, and then he just puts in, just to take you away for a second, 2 crazy chords, and then after you hear it a couple of times, you say, well, actually that works. The B flat major 7 you might change to something else, but you take my point. Okay? Now the melody, we don't have a melody, but if we did have a melody, we would have a much better chance of making that work. And this idea also works in a lot of musical motifs where, say, for example, you've got a very strong thing like this, and then what they'll do is they'll put something in between it, but that was still the money bit there. And that's just a way that you can look at it. You can go, say, I don't know, that's still what you're going for, but you put that A in between. Same as you put this D in between. Okay, so we've got some nice ideas that we can use that, the bending. And then everything else that we had. I don't want to get chucked off the thing, but I just accidentally played Black Dog. So it just goes to show how powerful. Okay, just using those intervals. Alrighty then, so let's have another play, sticking it all together, and then if there's any questions, I'll take them. Bleeding down. Where's my tunes gone? Oh. Well, that's unusual. That's not where that was. Oh, it should be in play. There we go. All right, that's it for me for tonight. Just a short one, quick half hour. Hey, let's just get rid of that. If there's Baby says, any suggestions for working on picking hand dynamics? Whenever I play with relatively high gain sound, I tend to get lost when I soften. Well, that's probably more to do with the sound, because the thing is, as you add more distortion to your sound becomes more compressed. Okay, and then the more compressed it becomes, the less dynamics that you have. I honestly think, I mean, when it comes to dynamics, really and truthfully, it's just a question of doing your exercises. Like, say for example, I mean, I don't even know, because I'm using a fair amount of distortion here. So let's see how this works out. I'm picking very lightly there. And what I tend to do, as I want to be louder, I tend to grip, and I hate to use any kind of word. I don't want people like, ah. But what I tend to do is I don't adjust the left hand in any way whatsoever. That stays the same. But what I do is I grip the pick a little bit tighter. But what I would also suggest you do, now I don't know if this is absolutely true what I'm about to tell you, but this is something I heard, that Alan Holdsworth had a way with one of his pedals that he could make the distortion less or more. And I've done that on some recordings that I've done. What we tend to do, for some weird reason, is like if we're playing a solo, right, we've put our, maybe let's say we put our distortion on, let's say we put on our delay, and we go, well, I have to work within that parameter. Well, you don't. Fact of the matter is when I was doing my Fusion sort of EP with Phil Todd, on quite a few of the solos, where because of the Fusion thing, I didn't want to have too much overdrive or too much distortion on the more fusiony blues bits, what I did was I just stepped on an extra pedal for just one line. I don't know if that's helping, right? I mean, and I do work on my dynamics, don't get me wrong, right? But that's what I would do. But also, and I think between that control that you are kind of doing there, that's picking softly, hardly holding the pick. I'm just gripping the pick a bit tight, but nothing's changing here. That's important to know. Just because you're going harder here, don't change this. But I don't know what you're hearing, but I'm not hearing a great deal of difference here. But what I am a big fan of, and I've talked about this before, is if you've got a group of 6, say, just accent the first one. If you're playing with a drummer, you're not going to hear that, but what it does, it internalises the first note of that group. So on and so forth. But also play around with that overdrive thing, because what I would do, I mean, I don't have the facility here, but if I was playing a solo, the bluesy bit, I would have less overdrive, and then if I went, I'd turn the extra pedal on, and then I'd go back. And then I would turn it on for the bit. And I don't know if that's true what I said about Alan Holdsworth, but that is what I heard. He had an ability to sweep in more overdrive. Like, as a lot, I don't know how he was doing it, as with a lot of people would sweep in more delay. If anybody knows about that, if that's true, please leave that in the comments. I would love to know about that. So does that answer your question, Bayvab? And if not, with the dynamics thing, just make sure you just grip a little bit harder with the pick in hand, but don't change the left hand. That would be my advice. And also you can show a little bit more of the pick. Obviously, when you've got to think of it like a door. You know, if you've got a door and you want to open it, you know, if you only just put a little bit of pick there and have a kind of, and you know, a little bit softer, it's not going to open it. You've got to push it a little bit harder. And I think that's the same when you're on a string. Please do. Let me see if I can go a little bit further down. I think that's it for tonight. All right, guys, I'm going to leave it there. Hopefully that's helped out. Please subscribe to my channel if you've got any value. Oh, no, absolutely my pleasure, Babab. Yeah, if you got some value from this video, please give it a like. Please subscribe to the channel and go to Guitar Star Clothing and join our mailing list where you will get offers on the merchandise, on the t-shirts, on the mugs, but also you get my blog that I write and also some free backing tracks and little bits and bobs that we give out for every now and again. So please go to guitarstarclothing.com and sign up for the mailing list and subscribe to the channel and hit like. And apart from that, have an absolutely fabulous night and I'll speak to you all very soon. Good night.